Hello everyone. Today I will tell you about Nine Love and Lies. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and I start. In this country, when boys and girls turn 16, they are notified of their future spouse. Those who marry the intended partner receive substantial fines, and romance with anyone other than the chosen partner is prohibited. As a result of that policy, fertility had been stabilized and children were born smarter. The story begins with the fact that our protagonist, Unspeakable, does not take her eyes off the girl in the class. Her name is Misaki, and we find ourselves secretly in love with her for 5 years. Sometime later, his classmate confesses that he received his notice yesterday. However, he wants to fall in love, never marry the one the state chooses. Nejima agrees with him, and he makes a pact never to marry. When he returns home, he announces that all he wants is to be with the Misaki and begins to remember their early years. During dinner, his mother reminds him that his birthday is in a couple of days and is excited that he will receive notice soon. However, he fears this day because he does not want to be in a relationship with anyone other than the Misaki. He decides to share his feelings before receiving notice. The next day, he approaches her, but he can't get the words out. However, when she leaves, he gains courage and asks to meet after school. Nejima is waiting for her. He already thinks the Misaki won't show, but when he's about to leave, he appears behind him and grabs his shirt. She apologizes for being late. They sit together on a bench, where she finally confesses her feelings. Misaki begins to cry and, to his surprise, confesses that she loved him all the time. He feels like heaven, and they kiss. For a while, the clock strikes 12, and the Nejima receives a government notice of his future wife. Misaki gets upset and runs away, but he runs after her, unwilling to let her go, as she is the love of his life. The next day, he meets an appointed partner, a girl named Sonata. Nejima is nervous because she is very beautiful and the two families get to know each other. Nejima, immersed in her thoughts, thinks of the Misaki. The Sonata of evil mocks him because of his lack of manners and leaves because he does not pay attention to her. Sometime later, he finds her in a room where she is alone and apologizes for his rudeness. She accepts his apology and they start talking. He tells her about the hope of Misaki, when suddenly she offers him a way out. They agree to return, holding hands to convince their parents that they are together. The next day at school, the classmates say how lucky he is to have such a lovely bride, and he remembers an appointment with her. He finds her in the infirmary, and she admits that she never fit in with the other girls, so she pretends to be sick. Nejima admits that he too finds it difficult to communicate with girls, but it is easy for him to communicate with her, which makes her blush. After school, the Sonata meets the Misaki. They go to a diner where the Sonata confesses that she does not like nonsense and asks the Misaki about her feelings for him. Misaki confesses his own, to which the Sonata says it must be beautiful to love someone. When they leave, the Misaki asks the Sonata if she would like to see her again, to which she tears as she had no friends before. A few minutes later, she reveals that she has kissed the Misaki, but explains why it was before she received the notice. Sonata, to his surprise, tells him to kiss the Misaki again. The next day, Nejima comes to the Somnet's house and is stunned to meet the Misaki in her room. Sonata blesses them with a kiss, but when they are about to kiss, they do not stop because they cannot get together. Before leaving, the Misaki asks the Sonata to fall in love with the undefeated, as she is likely to suit him better, leaving the Sonata in shock, as she knows the Misaki loves him. Sonata returns to the room and tells him that he has to kiss the Misaki every day, stuffing him. At school, Nejima tries to understand what is happening to the Misaki by noticing the strange looks between her and his schoolmate, a narc. Later, he finds her to ask her about the eavesdropper. However, the teacher passes by, and Nejima hides with her, so they get close together. Nejima recalls the consequences of being intimate with someone other than his designated partner, but he fails to hide his feelings and they kiss. The next day, two people working for the government come to check out the relationship and the Sonata. The woman explains that 50% of the personality is determined by genes and all the surveys and tests they go through determine their future partners. And the challenge is to choose a partner by the age of 16 before the personality is fully formed. After an interview with Neja and Sanada, officials are going to go into Misaki. Nejima fears that she has received the notice, but the Sanada asks him not to give up. At the school, the Nejim asks the Misaki if she has received a partner, to which she replies that yes, and they live together. But it turns out she's joking, and to her relief, she says the government came to her parents. Misaki says that he is the most special person for her, and everyone else is equally indifferent to who they are. And they kiss. Before going to bed, the Sanans ring. She tells them that they are going on a trip, so press the sake with them, so that he does not have to spend time alone with them. The day of the trip comes, and together they go on the train. When they get to the cabin, the stinker starts cooking. At this time, Nejima goes looking for the girls and sees them bathing. A few moments later, the Sanad slips on the stones and injures himself, and unwell takes her back to the cabin where she is treated by her father. Later, the Jacob tells of a Nejim that if it continues to allow it to get close to the Misaki, because of the consequences with the state, it gets in trouble. A few days later, the state calls in new couples for sex education. They're handing out contraceptives, making love. The master explains that before tongues divorced, making love was the most primitive instrument of communication. She says everyone has to make love or they'll be fined. When the time is right, the unsub has a plan where they pretend, but it turns out to be very awkward and strange. After that, the Sanada tells him that he is afraid of his touch and asks him to keep his distance for the time being, as she is uncomfortable. Misaki admits to herself that she does not like the Sanada to be together, but does not talk about it because she is afraid that they will fall in love with each other. The next day, a school play by Romeo and Juliet is announced, with the Misaki and the narc playing the main roles. Nejima offers help with the Misaki's lines, and while they walk, she asks if he loves the Sanada. He denies this and says he loves her. Misaki says he wants to end all this and why. She replies that she is not meant for him, and she falls in love with him more every day, even though she knows there is no hope. The day of the festival comes and the sonnet comes to see the play, which takes place wonderfully. After an encounter, a mysterious girl reveals to him that the Misaki is his intended partner. Nejima notices the Sanada with a look of shock on her face, which heard everything. She asks if the couple were a mistake, which he denies because he doesn't want to hurt her feelings. Sometime later, they find the Misaki and compliment her play in the play. Natsaka asks a stranger to come to the wedding instead of his cousin as a thank you for the trip. Nejima agrees to this, and on the appointed day they are joined by the Sanada and the Misaki. After the ceremony, the Nejima finds the Misaki crying alone. So says, "I don't care if it's a lie, just say that you love me." Nejima loses control and kisses her. At night, the Sanada says that he must marry the Misaki and that their love has changed her life for the better, as she now has friends. She also talks about a way to let them out of their relationship in peace. They just have to lie to an official about how they can't get back together and that their relationship will never work. The next day, the junkie tells the knuckleheads that he does not know what to do, as he loves Saxons and Sanada with them. He tells him that if both girls really love him, he can make them both happy. Nejima runs away to find them. During this time, the Misaki and Sanada prepare for a wedding photo shoot, and during the photo shoot, a nudge bursts into the room and confesses to feelings for both. They all decide to love and lie for each other so that everyone is happy. And if you like this retelling, do not forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I will be very pleased until new meetings.